So we're going to continue the book Beyond Birth and Death by Srila Prabhupada. And we were reading last week that
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada's Hare Krishna, that Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj used to say, don't try to see God, but we have to oblige him by our love and service. Right? That God is not our servant. So now the proper way how to approach God, that's what we're gonna see. We're gonna read now. Would someone like to read? Anyone's able to read today?
I'll read.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
I'll just make it big. The proper process for approaching Krishna was given to humanity by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami. His first disciple appreciated it. Rupa Goswami was a minister in the Mohammedan government, but he left the government to become a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he first went to see the Lord, Rupa Goswami approached him with the following verse. Namo Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradaya Te Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is more magnanimous than any other avatara, even Krishna himself, because he is bestowing freely what no one else has ever given, pure love of Krishna. Rupa Goswami called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the most munificent and most charitable personality, because he was offering the most precious thing of all very cheaply, love of God. We all want Krishna and all are hankering after him. Krishna is the most attractive, the most beautiful, the most opulent, and most powerful, and the most learned. That is the object of our hankering. We are hankering after the beautiful, the powerful, the learned, the wealthy. Krishna is the reservoir of all this, so we need only turn our attention towards him and we will get everything, whatever we want, whatever is our heart's desire will be fulfilled by this process of Krishna consciousness.
So Prabhupada is saying that, okay, how to approach God, because that's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying, no? That we have to please the Lord, oblige him by our love and service. So how do we do it in this age of Kali? Where do we begin from? Where do we go? So for this reason, Lord Chaitanya came. He's Krishna himself. He came 500 years ago to give us this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and to revive our love for Krishna that each of us have. Each of us has a loving eternal relationship with Krishna. As we have our relationships here in the material world, similarly, we have a relationship which is eternal, which can never be broken. And we may say, oh, never be broken, but I can't remember it. Yeah, we have forgotten it because we are here in this material world since a very, very long time. And the easiest way to revive it is by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. All the Shastras, the scriptures, they say that the only way that we can revive our relationship with Krishna is by chanting the holy name. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he's one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They are the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were here about 500 years ago. At the same time when Lord Chaitanya was there, then the 6 Goswamis were there too. Rupa Goswami is kind of like the leader of them all. And he is calling Lord Chaitanya as Mahavadanyaya. Mahavadanya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. He's the Supreme Lord, Krishna himself. But he's called Mahavadanya, more magnanimous than any other avatar, even Krishna himself. So Lord Chaitanya is even more merciful than Krishna himself. It's very difficult to approach Krishna directly, but if we approach Krishna through Lord Chaitanya, it's very easy to approach him. So why is Rupa Goswami calling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mahavadanyaya more magnanimous? Because
He is giving the love of God to everyone.
yes, he's giving pure love of Krishna to everyone freely, free of charge, and what no one else has ever given. Even when Krishna comes himself, he doesn't give his love. But Lord Chaitanya is simply saying, take it, chant the holy name and take this. So, continue reading.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Just
Yes,
if it's okay, I just want to add something here.
please.
I was just listening to a lecture yesterday by Amrendra Prabhuji, and he made a very interesting point. He said Krishna puts a condition that first you must surrender, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't put any conditions. So I just thought I'll share it here.
Thank you so much. Yes. This Krishna, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharmam Parityagya, that give up all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. Yeah, Krishna puts this condition, as you rightly said. But Lord Chaitanya, no. Just anyone, everyone, he says, just begin chanting the holy name. He's so kind, so merciful.
That too, but the surrendering part is like, if you surrender wholeheartedly, that is when you gain knowledge. Otherwise, if you don't surrender unto anyone, you are not giving your whole. So no point in like just ऊपर से करने से कोई फायदा नहीं होता है. That's all what is the other way if you want to take it also. I'm not saying anything about this part, but surrendering is like, if you accept that you are the guru, you will teach me and I know you will do the right thing for me, that is surrendering. If you don't surrender, you don't get, like, if you will give to those, you will surrender unto those who you know will teach you properly or will give you the right advice. If not, you will not go and surrender to some stranger or someone who is not worthy of it.
Well, yeah, of course. We have to be careful who we are surrendering to. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
So since it is Krishna, he has the authority to say, surrender unto me, and I will take care of everything for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No one else says that,
Yes.
No one else says that you surrender unto me and I will free you from all your sinful reactions. Do not fear. Only Krishna can say that because he's able to do that. But Lord Chaitanya, he's Krishna himself,
Correct.
And then he is just simply saying, chant. That's why he's called most charitable. He is giving the love of God, which is so difficult for us to obtain. Very difficult. Not easy. But he's saying, free. Take it, take it. Take it. And what are these? Can anyone speak about this? That we are all want these opulences. This most beautiful, most powerful.
The desires of everyone.
Yeah, these are the desires, right? We want to be the most beautiful, but can we say we are the most beautiful?
No.
No, there's always someone more beautiful than that, more beautiful than that. We have Miss Universe also. But then who's the most beautiful in all the material and spiritual worlds? Only Krishna. No one else can claim that. Rich, who can be more richer than God? We were reading about these qualities, no, of Bhagwan Bhagavad Gita yesterday, as Parasar Muni puts this meaning of Bhagwan. So means he has all these 6 opulences in full. In full. And we want all this. We want these opulences. We are hankering. So we are hankering for Krishna. So by chanting, by hearing and chanting, Prabhupada is saying all our desires will be fulfilled. Bhagavatam says that whether we have all material desires, we have no material desires, or we desire liberation, just engage in devotional service to Krishna. Devotional service begins by hearing and chanting, and all our desires will be fulfilled.
For one who dies in Krishna consciousness, as stated before, entrance into Krishna Loka, the supreme abode where Krishna resides, is guaranteed. At this point, one may ask what the advantage is in going to that planet, and Krishna himself answers, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashvastam ashaswatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gataha. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection, as in Gita chapter 8, 15th verse. This material world is certified by Krishna, the Creator, as dukkhalayam, full of miseries. How then can we make it comfortable? Is it possible to make this world comfortable by the so-called advancement of science? No, this is not possible. As a result, we do not even wish to know what these miseries are. The miseries, as stated before, are birth, old age, disease, and death. And because we cannot make a solution to them, we try to set them aside. Science has no power to solve these miseries that are always giving us trouble. Instead, they divert our attention to the making of spaceships or atomic bombs. The solution to these problems is given here in the Bhagavad Gita. If one attains to Krishna's platform, he does not have to return again to this earth of birth and death. We should try to understand that this place is full of miseries. It takes a certain amount of developed consciousness to understand this. Cats and dogs and hogs cannot understand that they are suffering. Man is called a rational animal, but his rationality is being used to further his animalistic propensities instead of to find out how to get liberation from this miserable condition. Here, Krishna explicitly states that one who comes to him will never be reborn to suffer miseries again. Those great souls who come to him have attained the highest perfection of life, which alleviates the living entity from the suffering of conditioned existence.
So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying this. Dukkhalayam ashasvatam, a temporary place full of miseries. Temporary place full of miseries. And he's saying, after attaining me, the great soul, so the people who attain me, they are great souls. They are the bhakti yogis. Yogis in devotion means the bhaktas, the devotees. They never come back to this material world, which is full of miseries. Why? Because they have attained the highest perfection. They've gone back to Krishna. They've gone to the spiritual world. Miseries. Prabhupada is pointing out that we don't even realize that this world is a place of miseries. We don't realize it. We are trying to change our one situation to another, sometimes so fast, but we don't realize what's happening. Why am I doing it? What is actually my misery? And Prabhupada is pointing out that the miseries are birth, old age, disease, and death. But instead, our attention gets diverted that, oh, misery, there is some unrest going somewhere, there is so many different things. So, oh, my mobile is not working today. That's a great anxiety for us nowadays. Imagine that. But yeah, Prabhupada is saying that we should use our rationality, the rational thinking that we have, to try to understand that how we can get out of this misery. Why am I suffering? Why should I suffer? I'm seeking happiness. Why should I suffer? Lord, Sanatan Goswami asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, who am I? Why am I suffering? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the position of the living entity is Jivara Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. The eternal constitutional position of every living entity is that we have this eternal loving relationship with Krishna. And to be situated in that relationship is the perfection.
One of the differences between Krishna and an ordinary being is that an ordinary entity can be in only one place at a time, but Krishna can be everywhere in the universe and yet also in his own abode simultaneously. Krishna's abode in the transcendental kingdom is called Goloka Vrindavan. The Vrindavan in India is that same Vrindavana descended on this earth. When Krishna descends himself by his own internal potency, his Dhamma or abode also descends. In other words, when Krishna descends on this earth, he manifests himself in that particular land. Despite this, Krishna's abode remains eternally in the transcendental sphere in the Vaikunthas. In this verse, Krishna proclaims that one who comes to his abode in the Vaikunthas never has to take birth again in the material world. Such a person is called Mahatma. The word Mahatma is generally heard in the West in connection with Mahatma Gandhi. But we should understand that Mahatma is not the title of a politician. Rather, Mahatma refers to the first-class Krishna-conscious man who is eligible to enter into the abode of Krishna. The Mahatma's perfection is this: to utilize the human form of life and the resources of nature to extricate himself from the cycles of birth and death.
So who is the Mahatma? Krishna is referring that this great yogi, the great souls, yogi in devotion, they come to me. So how is Prabhupada explaining us? Who is this Mahatma?
They're saying it here, and to utilize the human form of life to attain God.
To extricate himself from cycle of birth and death. Yes, thank you.
That is to attain God.
Yeah, to attain God, go back home, back to Godhead. So, many people think that, okay, I'm not God right now, but I can become God later. What are we hearing about this? Can we ever become God?
We can become one with God.
But if we become one with God, means we have to give up our individuality. But we can never give up our individuality because we are spirit souls. We are each individual souls. So spiritual means we can never ever give up our individuality. We are eternally going to remain individuals. Can never give that up. Otherwise, there is no meaning to the word spiritual or eternal. The difference between God and us is that we are minute. And because we are minute, we can be only at one place at one time. But because Krishna, he's unlimited, and that's how he can be everywhere. How we say God is omnipresent. We can't be omnipresent because our size, the Shastras say, the size of a soul. Does anyone know what's the size of the spirit soul?
Minute?
Minute, yes. The exact dimension.
It's the 100th part of a hair or 1,000th part of the hair, something like that.
Yeah, it's 1/10,000. It's
Oh.
10,000 part of the tip of the hair, the tip of the hair. So tip is already so small, and then divided into 10,000. That's the size of the soul. And because we are eternal, we can never change that size. Yeah, that's how we are eternally. And we are eternally individuals. We have that consciousness that I am existing. We can never give that up. That is the meaning of spiritual and eternal. So Krishna, he is omnipresent, but we are not. We are not omnipresent. We can be just at one place at one time because that's our size. So here, that's why it's mentioned that Krishna can be here in this universe, and yet he can be in his own place, Golok Vrindavan, which is in the spiritual world. Yeah. And then Prabhupada points out that the Vrindavan in India is the same as Vrindavan in the Vaikuntha. It's his own dham. That is because it's the absolute platform. For us to understand from a material vision, it's so difficult because they're like, what? How can you be in two places at one time? Doesn't work with us because our mind is material. We can't understand this absolute platform. But this is the meaning of the absolute platform. Yeah. So when Krishna comes, his dham comes with him. His eternal abode comes with him. So the Vrindavan in India, that's his eternal abode. Then we'll say, oh, what? Spiritual world looks like this. All I can see is dirt. I can see, not opulent things. Brahma Samhita is saying there's Chintamani on the roads, and then there is Kalpa Vriksha, desire trees, and there is this Surabhi cows and goddesses of fortune. I don't see anything like this. I'm just seeing like dirt and dust. So what's happening? Well, we have to understand that we need the spiritual vision to be able to see the spiritual world. With our material vision, we can see only the material world. So our vision is defective. For example, we can't even see the bacteria in front of us, no? We need a suitable lens to be able to see that. There are bacteria all around us, the germs are there, but can't see it with our eyes. But when we put in that the strength of the microscope, which is exactly needed to see them, then we can see them. Similarly, because our eyes are material, we are not able to understand that, oh, the Vrindavan on earth is actually the spiritual world. That's what all the Shastras claim. All the Shastras claim that. So then, continue. Are there any comments or anyone wants to add anything?
I'll continue.
Thank you.
An intelligent person knows that he does not want miseries, but they are inflicted upon him by force. As stated before, we are always in a miserable condition due to this mind, body, natural disturbances, or other living entities. There is always some kind of misery inflicted upon us. This material world is meant for misery. Thus, the misery is there, we cannot come to Krishna consciousness. Miseries are actually an impetuous and help elevate us to Krishna consciousness. An intelligent man questions why these miseries are inflicted on him by force. However, modern civilization's attitude is, let me suffer, let me cover it by some intoxication, that's all. But as soon as the intoxication is over, the miseries return. It is not possible to make a solution to the miseries of life by artificial intoxication. The solution is made by Krishna consciousness.
Self-explanatory, no?
Yes.
The Shastras say that there are three kinds of miseries. Three kinds. So the one is which is inflicted by our own body or mind. Another is which is inflicted on us by other living entities. And another is miseries by natural, like natural calamities, pandemics, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, like that. Own body and mind, we probably all of us have suffered that, no? Physical or mental distress. And in disease by other living entities could be another human being or could be an animal, a pest, so many different things. So at any given time, we are actually inflicted by either one or more of these kind of miseries. We may not even know it. Then we'll say, wow, it's such a depressing thing. It's just miseries, miseries. What's happening? Why did Krishna make it like that? Well, Krishna made it like that so that we can come back home, back to Godhead. This is not our permanent place. We are spirit souls, so we need to be in the spiritual world. We don't need the material body. Again, the example comes. When we go underwater diving, we have to wear all the scuba uniform. But when we come out, we don't need anything. So here, similarly, right now we are wearing this dress of the material body. Actually, we shouldn't be in this. We should be in the spiritual world because we are spirit souls. We have spiritual bodies. Each of us has a spiritual body in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada is pointing out the intelligent man, intelligence is to try to stop this suffering, not accept them. Like try to stop, really. How can I make a permanent solution to these sufferings? What's happening? And so Prabhupada is pointing out that solution is by Krishna consciousness. That's all the Shastras. They say Kalyug, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, Kalo nasteva, nasteva gatiranyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only way of perfection is chant the holy name of Hari. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So the no other way is pointed out 3 times, because we may think, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can do that, maybe I can do this. But it's repeated 3 times to make us realize, make us understand, hey, there's really no other way except chanting the holy name.
Shilpa, I have a question.
Yes,
It's very clearly stated that chanting the name of the Lord is the ultimate. But why in today's day and age, people try to promote mantras. They say, okay, you chant Om Namah Shivaya, you'll have peace of mind. You chant the Buddhist mantra, your karmas will change. So why, when everything in the Shastras is so crystal clear, why is there so much propaganda for other mantras?
You see,
When it's clearly when it's clearly stated that, in the Kali Yuga, the ultimate is chanting the Harinam of the Lord, like to chant Hare Krishna mantra. So why is there so much confusion still?
Thank you so much. Very good question. Again, it comes to speak of authority then. Who are we hearing from and where did they hear from? It's true, there is a lot of propaganda. So why are we hearing from them and who did they hear from? Like, for example, if we want to become expert in anything, I always give this example. One wants to become a doctor, he will enroll himself in a certified university, which is certified by the board. Yes, if I put my time and effort here, I will really become a doctor. One will study the textbooks which are certified by the board. One is going to train under the certified teachers. One will train under the certified doctors. And at one time, one will actually become a certified doctor. But if one says, I don't want to take the trouble of doing such a thing, it's a lengthy process. Let me just hear from someone or the other is trying to tell me that, I can do this and a doctor, maybe I can just do this or maybe I can just do that. Or my friends told me that I can just listen from this person. I don't know who's this, but maybe they can teach me to do some kind of a surgery. Or we say, oh, maybe I can learn from YouTube how to be a doctor. will we become certified doctors then? Would we? If we just try to pick up knowledge from here and there without understanding
No.
who am I? Yeah, so that's what comes from authority. So we should find out. And we take so much trouble, if we want to buy something, some good brand, some real thing, we always saying, oh, I want to buy the real thing. I don't want the fake thing. We do so much research in it, isn't it? Or a diamond. Then we do research. Oh, let me look for the real one. I don't want a fake one. So similarly, for spiritual life, we need to do the research. Who am I listening from and why?
I have
Is this
another
person
simpler
otherwise?
explanation also
Mhm.
for Sonal's question. I have another simpler explanation. As a child learns from its mother or father, like to pray in front of a god, and idol worship is taught to the child. As a child, they will know what a mother teaches alone, not like they will not, a small child like a year or a 2-year-old, they will know what a mother will explain to that. So from there, you are not spiritual from birth or anything. It depends on where you are, who you are taught from, as already Shilpa also told. So the step by step into the spiritual world will come as you are in, based on the surroundings. That's why being born in a family which has Krishna consciousness, or any spiritual lead, or a Brahmin family or anything like that, also they say is a big achievement, because they are given the input of spiritual knowledge from the beginning. But the same thing cannot be expected of in a different family or a different culture. So they will get what they have been given. Like every child who is born may not get it in the beginning. So as they grow, and if they want to grow into spiritual world, they can attain it. And it's the surroundings what matters also. So gradually they may come to understand. So these other mantras, what you asked for, the question that you actually asked is, why should you follow one or the other? You will get this or that. Those are means. Like if you want a certain power, like how she explained you through medical field, if you want some work done in a government office, you have to go and talk to that particular officer. You will not go to a police officer if you want a law work done. You have to go to a lawyer when you want a law thing done. And the same way, you have to go to a doctor if you want a medical assistance. So same way, there are different fields, but the final is attaining the Supreme Lord. So what means one takes is different. So each one, how they are taught or how they have been brought up, it matters. So they may have different ways of it. Not everyone will get the Krishna consciousness straight away. That is the reason they go through different forms. Each one may have a different upbringing. So they will use their means of getting to the spiritual attainment. So no one is wrong or no one is right exactly, although final achievement is to attain the Supreme Lord. So that is the different ways of getting there. That's all.
Thank
So
you.
my understanding is, sorry.
Sorry,
my understanding
could I
to,
yes, Sonal.
yeah. So my understanding to this question is that, to either you climb steps to reach the ultimate, or you go straight to the ultimate.
Oh, yeah. That's a very good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
The aim is to get to the ultimate. So either you go the hard way by climbing every step, or you go straight to the Supreme.
Yeah. The choice is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Veena. Thank you, Sonal.
Okay, I could read this.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. One may point out that although the devotees of Krishna are trying to enter Krishna's planet, everyone else is interested in going to the moon. Isn't going to the moon also perfection? The tendency to travel to other planets is always present in the living entity. One name for the living entity is Sarvagata, which means one who wants to travel everywhere. Travel is part of the nature of the living entity. The desire to go to the moon is not a new thing. The yogis also are interested in entering the higher planets. But in the Bhagavad Gita 8.16, Krishna points out that this will not be of any help. Oh my God, I'll need help with this. Abrahamaha bhunavanal loka punar avartino Arjuna mama upetya tu kaunteya punarjanam na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Let's read a little further.
Okay. The universe is divided into higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The Earth is considered to be a member of the middle planetary system. Krishna points out that even if one enters into the highest planet of all, called Brahmaloka, there is still repetition of birth and death. Other planets in the universe are full of living entities. We should not think that we are here and that all the other planets are vacant. From experience, we can see that no place on earth is vacant of living entities. If we dig deep down into the earth, we find worms. If we go deep into the water, we find aquatics. If we go into the sky, we find so many birds. How is it possible to conclude that other planets have no living entities? But Krishna points out that even if we enter into those planets where great demigods reside, we will still be subjected to death. Again, Krishna repeats that upon reaching his planet, one need not take birth again.
So Krishna is repeating himself. Now, it's not that we sometimes forget and we repeat, but sometimes we repeat for emphasis. So Krishna is repeating here for emphasis. Not that he's like lost it and he doesn't know what he's saying. He's emphasizing, even if you go to the higher planets, it's temporary place. You're going to come back to this earth again. So now, first of all, we may think, there's life only on earth. But no, there's life on other planets too, isn't it? There's life, and Bhagavatam, when we read Bhagavatam, we can see that there's so many different planets, and then there's living entities on all these different planets. Sarvagata, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. So the living entities are everywhere. In our experience also, no? There's living entities, as Prabhupada is saying, in the air, in the water. There's on land. There's some which walk on land and water. So different kinds. So then Krishna is pointing out, see, you are in a jail cell. And if you get promoted now in your jail cell, you have a bed and you get like a normal meal. Your bed is like not so great, but it's okay. It's a bed. And then you have maybe like a very old style TV where you don't have the latest channels and just a fan. And then you get upgraded to a jail cell, which is like, wow, such a comfortable bed, and you have like the latest latest TV shows, and you have nice air conditioning, and you have whatnot, a nice buffet. But after all, it's a jail cell. We get very happy. We get happy. Oh wow, I've reached the heavenly planet. But what happens is, it's after all the jail cell. Not supposed to be in the jail. You're supposed to be outside. And similarly, sometimes we get demoted also. We may be demoted to a jail cell which has like no bed, barely anything to eat, no TV, no fan. That's like going down to the hellish planets or animal bodies. Then when that finishes, again we come back to the human body again to create new karma. So like this, we are going up and down, up and down. Even if we get promoted to heavenly planets, after our good karma is finished, we have to come back. Either we are going to go degraded to hellish planets, depending where we are in our cycle of karma, or we'll come back to the earth planet to create new karma. It doesn't take us out of this material world. It doesn't take us back to the spiritual world. So Krishna is saying, but if you come to the spiritual world, then you don't need to come back to the material world again. That's like a permanent solution to taking birth again in the material world, taking up another material body. Is that okay? And that is even up to like Swarglok, as people, we say we want to go Swarglok or we want to go Chandralok. So even up to Brahmalok. Brahmalok is the highest planet in this material world. Even that is a place of birth and death. So, and even that place, that over there, our life is temporary. It's going to finish. It's like we have some money, we save some money to go for a holiday, and then we enjoy in the holiday. But once the holiday is over, then we come back to work again. So we are back to square one. There's no permanent solution. But Krishna is saying, you want permanent solution? You come back to the spiritual world. That's a permanent solution. Yeah, if you all want to discuss further about this, good. So usually, herein comes the point, Sonal, which you were saying that there are different mantras being chanted.
Yes.
So each mantra has its potency. Like how there is a different kinds of bulbs. There are 5 watts, 8 watts, 10 watts, 100 watts. So each mantra has its own potency. And then which demigod we are trying to please, we are chanting the mantra of that demigod, we are going to go to that, to the planet of that demigod. Because that's who we are worshipping, that's who we are praying to. And Krishna says, whoever we worship, he says in Bhagavad Gita, we go there. So someone is chanting the mantra of an ex-personality of a particular demigod. That mantra is going to take them to that planet. But we have to understand that wherever we go, the demigods are also within the material world. Their planets are also within the material world. So our time in those planets is also temporary. And after that's finished, we will again come back to the material world. To the earth. Or go to the hellish planets, again depending where we are in our karmic cycle. The demigods cannot stop us from birth and death. And the reason then we chant the Hare Krishna mantra is because that's a direct call to the Supreme Lord himself. And by chanting that, we can go to the spiritual world. So here is the real difference.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So it's 11:45. We'll stop here for today.
Okay.
If anyone wanted to share any questions and any comments? No? And thank you so much for joining us. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.